You knew we were going to get to this eventually. It's the sequel to Luigi's Mansion, a game I really enjoyed, but it's now very different.
Oh
really,
my gosh,
to me, the only difference is length.
Oh my gosh, we're such Chuck Conroy ripoffs, jeez.
I recorded this before Emil did.
Yeah, but we uploaded it after, so
But we took a hell of a lot longer to get to it.
Yeah, this was one of the games that Ryan gave to us directly when we were at a convention, so he had this recorded for a while, we've had it sitting on our hard drives for a while, and we're finally getting to it.
This was 2012 when it came out, was it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember this was one of the first 3DS games that really, this was one of the games that kind of pulled the 3DS out of its early slump, because 2011 and early 2012 was not kind to the poor thing. But now there's a new game coming out every week, so nobody really cares anymore, but still.
I never thought I'd begin a game with a crossover between Dr. Insano and the Pac-Man ghosts. That's a surreal thing.
I wonder who the bad guy is.
A ghost driving a Bowser robot, I expect.
No, a Bowser driving a ghost robot. Get that right.
Must be mean!
Okay, now you guys are just being rude.
You know, if the souls of the deceased could be so easily corrupted en masse, I'd be very worried for the people who are still living. Because, what does that say about how easy they are to control?
That's called the media, Lewis.
Yeah, no, I would say that if you're a spirit, you're easily corruptible. But if you have flesh and blood, no.
Fun fact, the model for the house is actually one of the possible endings in the first Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, there's also the little map he had at the beginning of the game. So, Luigi's super duper house that you got in our playthrough is non-canon. You have to suck more Ryan.
Neither is the tent.
I think it's the C or D rank house.
How average.
Well,
how typical Luigi.
You could just say, Mario went gambling and Luigi had to pay off his debts, so he sold the house.
Hey, story of my fucking life.
He didn't even get to eat the cookie that's on the plate there. Poor guy.
He was waiting for Santa. Luigi, it's 6 months early. Christmas creep,
It's July. Christmas could be in July.
Ghost troubles, huh?
Was this?
Who you gonna call? Someone else.
Was this before or after the ear of Luigi?
This was Year of Luigi.
This was the ear of Luigi.
Luigi. Hey, Luigi isn't safe.
Well, Luigi does have big ears, so it was an easy mistake to make.
Now, I will say for a 3DS game, it does look very nice.
It still looks great.
Yeah, it's a little... The resolution obviously gets a little bit fuzzier when you're looking at it on a bigger screen, but if you're playing it on the DS itself, it still looks pretty good. The shadows and everything are pretty nice. The only thing about it is the frame rate, which is a little bit choppy, even if you're playing in 2D the whole time. But that's a really kind of a minor thing.
Which is funny because I would think a game like Kid Icarus Uprising would be a little more graphical intensive. And I still think it is, and it had a better frame rate than Luigi's Mansion Dark Mode.
Yeah, but the models I would say are generally better in Luigi's Mansion than Kid Icarus, because a lot of the times they're a little bit blockier in Kid Icarus from what I can remember.
Might also be a lighting thing, because for a game like Luigi's Mansion, you need a good lighting engine to keep that atmosphere going. So the lighting engine might be a bit more hardware intensive in this case than it was in Icarus.
There's also lots of effects flying around whenever you're using the vacuum or whatever.
Yeah. And that all plays havoc with the lighting engine too, so it all just sort of gets all tangled up, and sometimes that can mess with your CPU.
Behold, Luigi, it's the Waluigi piece.
If you ever wonder what purple kryptonite amounts to in the Mario universe, let's say we put this in the machine and ipe ipe de suke suke.
My first thought was actually Dark Triforce.
There's more than 3 pieces.
Yeah, but the Triforce can be broken up. It's happened like 6 times.
How many pieces of the Triforce were there in Legend of Zelda 1?
8.
Yeah, but they
Well,
were.
no, you're trying to construct the Triforce of Courage.
I thought
Not
you
the
were trying to.
Triforce itself.
I thought you were trying to construct a Triforce of Wisdom, and Link already had the Triforce of Courage.
Yeah, it's the Wisdom Triforce you're building up, but it's still 8.
My point was triangle-shaped piece of treasure on a pedestal.
Yeah, it's the Triforce of. I don't know. Dirty.
Triforce of the Dead.
It's the
Triforce of
Triforce
Anarchy.
of heebie-jeebies.
Yabba yabba.
It's the Triforce of Yabu Yabo.
Arumba.
I found it.
Now, what's interesting about this game is basically the only reason why it exists is because Miyamoto threw a temper tantrum and said, "I want to make a new Luigi's Mansion," and Nintendo was like, "Fine." So, I believe it was also developed by Next Level Games as well, who
Yes, it was.
Who did the Mario Strikers games as well, which are some of my favorites.
Give me the people that made that soccer game.
Did they do anything other than that before the? Oh no, Punch Out. They did the Punch Out remake as well. So
Yeah, they're solid developers. I trust them with my game.
I kind of like how instead of a 3DS for his gizmo, he gets an old school Model 1 DS.
Well, EGAD's always
that
running a
coincides with-
generation behind.
Yeah, that goes just in continuation of what happened in Luigi's Mansion. Because when Luigi's Mansion came out, the Game Boy Advance was a new thing, but he got a Game Boy Color.
Oh boy, I can play Mario 64 DS on this thing with terrible controls.
Of course, when it comes to DS models, the Model 1 DS is the one worth having, because it actually has the goddamn Game Boy Advance cartridge slot.
No, you want the light. It still has the DS cartridge slot, but it also doesn't weigh 50 pounds. Also, we're
But
very...
to the original Fat Model's credit, when you put in the GBA cartridge, it's snugged nicely inside the slot. In the DS Lite, it's kind of awkwardly sticking out, and I hate rubbing against it because I think I'm going to crash my game.
The Model 1 DS isn't that heavy.
It's bulky. It's gigantic, though. You can't fit that thing in your pocket.
Okay, my perspective might be a little bit skewed by actually using a tablet to read, but no, I never had a problem holding the DS for any length of time.
It's not the worst thing I've ever... My only huge complaint with the DS original was that the power button was right above the D-pad. So if you were mashing that thing a little bit too hard, you could very easily hit the power button and turn your game off by mistake.
You want to talk about power button problems? The original 3DS.
Oh, God.
Fuck that thing.
Oh, I'm trying to... Wait, hold on. I need to pull it up. 'Cause where the hell... Oh, yeah, it was right underneath. You could
yeah.
very easily hit that with the palm of your hand, pressing the
No,
buttons.
you go to pause. You go to pause the game. You push the button. You push one button to the side by accident, and it closes your game without asking you to confirm. But it will ask you to confirm whether or not you want to turn the system off.
But that's why you hit the power button. Of course.
Yeah, but the power button, like on all the 3DS models, it's better on the XL because the buttons aren't as stupid. But on all the 3DS models, you hit that power button, it closes out your game. You're not getting that back. It might as well have turned the system off.
Come back here, you!
So, I mean... I enjoyed the original Luigi's Mansion. As someone that rented the game and played it quite a number of times around the release. How excited were you guys for Dark Moon when it was announced and released? Did you get a day one, anything like that?
I got a day one because I was really excited. I really enjoyed the first game, and ultimately, just kind of a quick overview thoughts before we get too deep into the game. I feel this game does fix a lot of problems, but it introduces a lot of other ones. So.
It wasn't something I got right away. I think I waited a couple of weeks before picking it up, if I remember correctly. I don't remember being super excited, but more just normally interested in the game. I guess, like, oh, that's cool, I'll pick it up, but it wasn't something I was actively hyped for or anything. It was... I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. It was something I had a low-key interest in, I guess is the best way to put it.
Time to clean house.
I think objectively the game is better than the original. My only problem is its length. I think it's too long for what it does.
I don't know. I would disagree that it's objectively better because I feel like there's a lot of it's got different issues than the original game.
Yeah.
So one thing that I personally don't like about this game is I cannot stand how it controls. I went back. I didn't really remember having a problem with the controls the first time I played it, but I went to revisit it not too long ago just because it seemed like I hadn't played it in a while and I wanted to give it another shot. But it's this game, Luigi's Mansion. I love the two-stick controls of the original Luigi's Mansion. It makes trying to grab all the ghosts really exciting because you're moving your right stick in one way and your left stick in a different way. And the 3DS obviously didn't have two sticks. It does now, but the little nub is useless, so I don't even like using that.
I refuse to call that a stick.
Yeah, but so you're moving the poltergeist's direction with the buttons, and it felt very clunky and not nearly as smooth as the original Luigi's Mansion to me.
Okay, why was there a door pattern curtain over the door?
Because they love doors. They love doors so much that they have posters of doors above their doors.
This thing.
Polterpup.
Oh, it's adorable though.
It's gonna sell so many amiibos.
That's horrifying.
We here at Nintendo prioritize what's important.
That thing is terrifying. I don't know what you're talking about. Look at its face.
It's a ghost dog.
That
A Nintendo ghost dog. Think of the merchandising.
I do think they've got plushies all over the place for that thing.
Of course. Mission accomplished.
Things
I
are
want
pain.
6.
In the context of the game, though, that thing's a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah,
in the context of the game, yes.
the Polterpup missions are some of the most annoying in the game, honestly.
Well, to answer the question that was asked, I still haven't gotten this game yet, and I'm not totally excited to play it either. There was something about the original Luigi's Mansion that kind of left me feeling contented. Like, one game is all this series needs, and that was the feeling that I was left with.
Now,
It's not.
what do you guys?
It's not to.
Oh, go on. Continue.
It's not to say I was against it getting a sequel. It's more like I wasn't going to be running out to get it. Like, if it was good, then good. If not, then I wouldn't lose any sleep over it, you know?
Yeah. What do you guys think about the new ghost designs for this game? Because that's a huge point of contention. Is that a lot of people really like the original ghost designs and are kind of iffy. I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about the new ghosts. They're cute they're cute in their own way, but I still kind of prefer aesthetically the way the old ghosts looked, if that makes sense.
I feel the designs are okay. It's just a matter of, I think, because that's all, these 4 or 5 type of ghosts is all you're really fighting the entire game. You lack the diversity or interestingness of the portrait ghosts, so...
Yeah, I think that's part of what this game really misses, is having those portrait ghosts. Because it felt like you were doing a boss fight like every 10 minutes in the original Luigi's Mansion, which was really interesting. And not to mention this game has issues with bosses that we'll get to later, because I hate most of them, to be perfectly honest.
Stairway to Heaven.
There was, comparing ghosts, the original Luigi's Mansion in terms of design, I felt, was more inspired by Ghostbusters, actually, the 84 film, with the way the ghosts looked. Because one thing I think the GameCube did better was the way the ghosts, were constructed, because they had this ethereal quality to them, and the ghosts in this game still sort of have it, but the face more remind me of like carved out pumpkins rather than spooky creatures of the night. And I don't like the way I just don't like the way they stick out from the rest of the building. It's good for a video game. You can't lose track of them.
They kind of remind me of, like, Oogie Boogie's shadow from Nightmare Before Christmas. Not Oogie Boogie himself, but, like, when he had a shadow that had his face that you could see through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that image is what it makes me think of.
They're designed to be more cutesy than the original, where the ghosts, even like the standard Mook ghosts that you were fighting in the original Luigi's Mansion, were meant to be a little bit more intimidating. And I get why they were trying to make them cutesy, because they have a bunch of little antics. And I will say some of my favorite parts of this game are the cutscenes, because they're all pretty short, but they're full of all sorts of character. Like, this is probably the most expressive Luigi's ever been, I would say, which is, I think, a huge plus.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. This is one of Luigi's best games for that sort of thing.
I enjoy it when Mario franchise stuff has this kind of personality to it. Yeah.
You dumbass.
Well, you mean because normally Mario has no personality?
Well, I mean, it's like there's always this big rift between the Miyamoto way of thinking, where a game doesn't need to have a whole lot of story, and everyone else who's kind of like, okay, games without story are nice, but games with story are even better.
But I think having established personality for the game, whether it's bare minimum or not, I think it really adds a lot. Because I would say, in Mario's case, it may sound weird, one of his best personalities in any of his games is the very first Mario Donkey Kong game for the Game Boy Advance, where he is just pissed off the entire fucking game because Donkey Kong keeps messing with his shit.
Oh, you're talking about those little interval cutscenes in between the levels. Yeah, those are great, and we should do that game eventually, because I liked playing through that one a lot.
Oh, it's a good game.
Well,
but it's the only one I'll play before. I don't play March of the Minis or anything like that.
Honestly, I don't like the original Mario vs. Donkey Kong very much. I know it plays more similarly to the first Donkey Kong 94, but it's just I don't think it's as good. So I'd rather play the Lemmings knockoff mini Mario games for Mario vs. Donkey Kong than. Oh, the poltergust.
Watch out! The polterpup is here!
I never bothered finding
that's just my sister's dog.
I never bothered finding all the gems.
Well, that was nice timing. I just meant to say that I like it when a game in this franchise, especially one that was actually spearheaded by Miyamoto himself, hits a nice balance between the two mindsets.
Well, the game is pretty light on story itself. Like, there's multiple mentions in this game, but none of them really have like an overarching plot or anything. It's really the expressiveness that comes through, and a lot of that can be attributed to next level games, because if you've played Punch-Out or Strikers, you know how great they are at making characters that
Waluigi crotch chop anyone.
I see you just gave up on that dollar bill. Oh, the bones. The bones are
more like all.
Basically extra lives.
They're extra lives, okay, because I remember when I was originally playing the game, I had no idea what these things were supposed to do, because I never died.
Basically what happens is, if you do end up dying, and you have the bone, the polterpup will walk by, get the bone, and wake you up.
Okay. Even if you die during a polterpup mission?
Yes.
Lifts you from the brink of death.
I mean, you only get one per level, so it's not like you can get a ton of them, so...
Yeah, okay.
And they don't carry over, so...
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Now, what did you guys think of the mission structure of Dark? I mean, did you prefer it like that, or would you like it like the original GameCube, where it's just one mansion and everything just ties together?
I prefer kind of the original setup a little bit more. I would have liked it a bit more if they had used the first game's base, but used it a bit more non-linearly, kind of like a little bit more exploration.
I think it wouldn't have been as big of a deal if they gave you the option to keep on going, I guess, after a mission. Because, like, for example, many of these games' missions, it's just like you find a key or whatever, and then EGAD will pop up and be like, "Nice work, Luigi," and then you get teleported back. And then when you start the next mission, you'll either appear like right where you were, or at the beginning of the mansion, and you have to backtrack back to where you were. So if a prompt came up and says, "Congratulations, Luigi, you beat the mission, would you like to continue?" I don't think I would have had as much of an issue with it. I think I get why they did it, because for a handheld, obviously. But
I've been playing for an awfully long time. Why not take a break?
It feels like an attempt to mix Luigi's Mansion with the traditional 3D formula of Mario games, where you choose a power star, you're taken to the beginning of the mission, then you do your objective, and you go back to the hub world after you're done.
Yeah, that doesn't work quite so well with this genre, though. And I realize it's less a horror game because of its cartoony style, but it's still fundamentally a horror game. And horror games are at their best when they're explorative and ponderous, which is not the best combination for a handheld, I realize, but there's a reason Fatal Frame 3 is the least liked in the series, and it's only partly because the story is batshit crazy.
I would like.
So what you're saying is that Luigi needs to encounter a ghost fetus in the sink at some point in this game.
Well,
That's not a no.
There's a natural sense of progression and accomplishment as you manage to progress that makes a horror game feel fulfilling.
Yeah, the original
And
Luigi's
that's-
Mansion did feel like a horror game, because it even was, like, I mean, I know it was goofy, but it was even kind of tense at points. Where this, I don't think there's as much tension. It is definitely more silly than the original. Not that the original
You can hear it in
wasn't
the
silly.
soundtrack.
Yeah. Which, not as good. I can't... Nothing will beat the original Luigi's Mansion theme to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. To be fair, Luigi's Mansion as a gameplay style has enough of a bounciness to it that you can get a sense of satisfaction from the simple process of capturing ghosts. It's not like old school Resident Evil where, just killing the zombies wasn't really satisfying enough to fuel the game on its own. It had to have that sense of progression and exploration to really complete the experience. So the mission structure works for Luigi's Mansion. A hell of a lot better than Fatal Frame 3's weird herky-jerk back and forth between characters thing worked.
The developers really like Tron.
Are we doing one mission per part, Ryan?
Not entirely. Kind of depends on the mission.
Ah, okay.
But generally,
Luigi
that's the
does
case, yeah.
laundry. Part 3.
He's lucky his nose doesn't get
The
attached to his
time-space
ass or
tunnel that the
something.
TARDIS is flying down is just...
What was your reward for money again? Oh wait,
You
I
get
remember.
upgrades for the poltergust.
Oh yeah, so after like the fourth mansion, like your money doesn't really matter anymore. I remember now.
Yeah.
I do like being able to like look at all the ghosts or whatever in the vault. It was a lot more satisfying than going to like the gallery in the original Luigi's Mansion ever was, because it was nice, but unless if you had gotten all gold paintings, I never really felt a need to go down and look at all the stuff I got in the vault in the original Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, well, your mileage is gonna vary on that.
Oh, I remember another thing that annoyed me about this game, but that'll have to wait till next time. Oh well.